Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the guy. We are the Breakfast Club. We got a special guest in the building.
Yes, indeed.
We have Allison. Welcome.
Yes.
Hi.
How you feeling this morning?
Well, that's a hard question. 9 days into Donald Trump's America, but
Don't let it stress you out. You can't think about it every day. You got to remember your serenity prayer.
okay, that's a word. No, I'm good, but it's a lot on my mind right now.
What is your job too? And I feel like I know you because I watch CNN all of the time, and it's your job, and you always have to talk about these things. But I feel like they always put you in the position against the white conservative male and cause conflict on purpose just to stress you out.
No, telling the truth doesn't stress me out.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that's all I do on CNN is I'm going to be a truth teller. I'm going to hold you accountable, and I'm going to call you out.
Mm-hmm.
And I literally, like, people like, I don't know how you do it. I don't either, but it's like my grandmother's spirit comes in me, and I'm calm, cool, collected. Now, sometimes, like every once in a while, but most of the time I'm just like, no, I'm not going to. I'm from Youngstown, Ohio, so we just call a thing a thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because it feels like they like the conflict. Makes for good television.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think the important thing that they try and do is, obviously, a lot of people think what the conservatives think because they just voted for Donald Trump, right? And they're trying to get that viewpoint out. But I'm also like, a lot of people still voted for Kamala Harris, too.
Yeah.
And so I'm going to try and get that viewpoint out.
And it's got to be a good faith argument.
Right. A lot of people didn't vote at all. So we got to get that argument out, too. Like, what happened there? Why did people stay home? And I think there's still a lot of questions to be answered about what happened this November.
Can we go back a little bit and find out who Allison is and how you jumped into politics? So let's start off from what got you into politics.
I led my first protest when I was in the second grade.
Second grade.
Wow.
What was it over?
Damn.
So I'm lactose intolerant,
Me too.
and most of us are. Most people in the world are lactose intolerant, so we should change that name. And the nuns at my school used to make us drink the milk.
You went Catholic school.
Yes. I'm not Catholic, but went to Catholic school.
Most of us did.
Yes. And I used to get sick every day after lunch.
Jesus.
Wow.
Every day. And they used to say it's because I didn't like math. Now, I don't like math, and I'm not good at math.
Right.
But I didn't make myself sick. And so the first was like, let me drink juice at lunch and not. And so it was just like, when something doesn't make sense, do something about it, change it, fix it. And then my parents raised me, like, knocking on doors when I was a little kid, canvassing for candidates for city council. And then I just am someone, like, when I see something that is not right, it just agitates my spirit. That's why you're like, don't let it stress you out. It's like part of who I am. I cannot see something that is wrong and not say something. And I feel like Obama came through, and I was like, oh, how do you work on a campaign? I was teaching at Boys and Girl High School, actually, at the time when Obama ran for president. And my students were engaged by him in a way I had never seen. And I was like, I want to work on his campaign. And it was kind of like all she wrote.
Do you think we'll ever see that again? Do you ever think we'll see – because he's a once-in-a-lifetime generational talent.
He is a once-in-a-lifetime generation leader, and so is Donald Trump.
He is. That's a fact. I've only seen 3 in my lifetime like that: Clinton, Obama, and Trump.
Yeah. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if we need a once-in-a-lifetime generational leader. I just think we need good leaders. I think that the celebrity of it all is part of the problem, is like people – I want somebody who cares about the quality of everybody's life and wants everybody's life to be better. I don't need you to be a reality show star. I don't need you to be super famous. I don't even need to really want to have dinner with you, quite honestly. I just need you to know what you're doing and want to help people and get this country in a better place. So probably not.
Yeah.
Now, you said something stressed you out. So what stresses you out the most? Because he said what he was going to do. It's not like it's a surprise.
Yeah.
He said exactly what he's going to do, and he's
taking
doing
a breath right now.
Look at let's take a breath right now.
Did my eyes get real big? That's my tell normally. What stresses me out? I think that I was one of those people, Charlamagne, who called Trump a fascist, and I still think that. And I think that it is not. Democracy doesn't die by one fatal blow. It dies by 1,000 little cuts. And I think the first day when he pardoned January 6th folks, that was 1,500 little cuts to democracy. I think when Friday night, when he fires inspector generals, that's another 18 cuts to democracy. And for folks who don't know what an inspector general is, it's literally the people who are supposed to do the auditing of federal agencies to make sure there isn't waste and fraud like they think they need Doge for. And I think that, no, is it talking about an inspector general sexy and exciting? No, but is it the thing that is a backstop? Yes. And I worry people are not paying attention and people are just kind of not complacent, but are so frustrated with everything that they're throwing their hands up and saying, like, I don't have anything to do. I can't engage. And apathy is how dictators thrive. Despair is how, and I worry that people are becoming apathetic and finding this despair and feeling hopeless. And that stresses me out. Because, like, if we have the numbers, I think he did say what he was going to do. Mm-hmm. Some people are now surprised that he kept his word. We tried to tell him. But it's the despair that makes me most nervous.
I agree with everything. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I know you said that stress is a big part of your job, and you don't mind. You don't care. You're going to keep telling the truth, because that's your job to do that. But at what point is the stress to the point, like, have you ever had a tipping point, like, all right, I'm not about to be doing this no more, like, throw in the towel type?
Yeah. So, okay, I'm a big yogi. I've been doing yoga for 25 years. So I'm always breathing. I'm always staying grounded, connected, like feet on the ground, making sure you're not going to catch me off my balance. The thing about why this moment I'm okay with it is because 8 years ago, the first time he got elected, it almost took me out. I was leaving the White House. The relationship I was in ended. I felt like my whole identity, I closed the White House down, right? I had no job. My money was real funny. So, we don't make a lot of money in the government. And I was like, what do I do? And for 6 months, I was just kind of like, I was in a depression. I almost hit rock bottom. Yeah. And every day since then, I was in therapy. I did a lot of the self-work. I got my practices back together. And every day since then, I've been building for this moment. So I'm not gonna get to the point where I can't do this anymore, because I'm never gonna let somebody else take that much power away from me.
Did your ex vote for Trump?
I don't know. I don't talk to my mom is listening, so I can't say what I was about to say. But
I'm talking to that motherfucker. Listen,
exactly.
You said something that's very interesting about democracy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with everything you said. But I was watching Jon Stewart last night, and he presented a good point. He said that the thing that we need to remember about Trump is this is democracy, because he was voted in, and he has control of all branches of government now.
Yeah.
So the things he's doing, we may not like it, but under the Constitution, he has the right to do it.
Well, not all things.
Okay.
The Constitution still exists for a reason, right? So you can sign an executive order, but democracy, we still have 3 branches of our government, right? Mm-hmm. So you can sign an executive order, and the courts are actually supposed to be a checks and balances, right? So if it goes all the way up to the Supreme Court and the court says no, Donald Trump can't then just override it, right?
That's his too.
Well, that's the problem, right? That's the problem with, is that we were supposed to have all these checks and balances. I think the thing that's on the front of my mind is this 14th Amendment around birthright citizenship. And I'm like, y'all better wake up, because this is not about birthright citizenship. This is about being able to discriminate against all of us because of equal protection.
Break that down.
Okay. So I think almost every legal scholar, except for like the 5 that Donald Trump is going to find to bring this case, have said that birthright citizenship is in the Constitution and it's not a thing. But he still, on day one, signed an executive order. He even said in his interview behind the Resolute desk that, I don't know if this is going to work, but we're going to try it out. So he's trying to press the levers of democracy to see. But the 14th Amendment also is the amendment that prevents from you to be able to be discriminated. It gives all rights to Americans in this country. So Black, brown, women, straight, gay, and it's bigger than just birthright citizenship. And so because immigration is such a big topic right now, they are introducing the fight through that lens as a foil, almost, as a distraction, so that you focus on that and not on really what they're doing. And if you take one piece of the Constitution away, then it starts, again, 1,000 little cuts. It's a cut. And so they're trying to knock it down. So that's why I'm like, don't get distracted, y'all. Don't be in despair. Pay attention, you know? Like 8 years ago was when Stay Woke, we made it like the thing that people said again, and then they turned it on us. It's like, no, like, wake up, you know? It's like Spike Lee when it's like, wake up. You know, it's like, this is happening in front of our face, and now is not the time to sit on the couch and be like, not my fight.
School me on this, too, because they're saying that his plan to end birthright citizenship is like Dred Scott 2, right? Do you think so?
Well, I think, I don't know. I haven't heard people articulate that argument, so I want to hear a little bit more. Again, I don't like to just say something because just sound like the smartest person in the room. But
there was an article in the New York Times.
Okay, I think that the question is that a lot of people, birthright citizenship, they said it was brought through to give black people, black enslaved people, the right of citizenship, but it doesn't. It's not just about black people. It's about all people. Again, I think that. Again, every legal scholar, Republican, conservative, even Scalia, most of his clerks, most of the people who are Scaliaites are like, and Scalia is one of the most conservative Supreme Court justices we've ever had, say that it shouldn't be able to pass a legal muster. I don't even know if the Supreme Court will hear the case, but we will find out. But again, that's the distraction over there because today, he just stopped federal funding on programs like SNAP.
So I was going to ask, so what is your thoughts on the pardon, right? All
Come
the
on,
pardons that he did.
Nah, for real. WIC and all of that? Like,
so the way, last night he rolled out, starting today at 5 p.m., that federal funding and grants need to be halted. Now, that means monies that go to cancer nonprofits, all nonprofits, veteran services. And so, again, it happens in the middle of the night, stop. Now, today, watch, you're going to do some wild stuff.
To distract everybody from that.
Everybody.
Yeah.
Don't focus on the distraction. Focus on the trick they're trying to play on you. So right now, people are looking at lawsuits, looking at litigation that they can file to halt this. I woke up this morning to a text from my cousin and was like, who literally just had a baby yesterday. And she was like, Section 8, my SNAP benefits. She runs a real estate thing. And she's like, my tenants are Section 8. Are they going to be able to pay? Am I going to be able to? Like, this is real life. You know what I mean? Like, I'm on CNN, but that's my first cousin that I'm talking about here. That is like, what's happening? And truth be told, a lot of people who voted for Donald Trump are going to now face that consequence as well. Which is why when it's like, there is, in every crisis, there's opportunity. If we actually could start having conversations with people about the economics that are happening in this country and the real working class people.
That's right.
But that's what I was going to ask. Do you think the pardon and things that he's doing that is making the press, he does that so you don't see the other stuff that he's doing? People are talking more about the pardons and the January 6th rise, and they're talking about all these other things.
Yeah.
But like you said, the main things that he's doing that is affecting us the most, we don't see because we're more distracted with the pardons. We're more distracted with this. So do you think that's his way of doing this? Let me write this here so the press can go this way and I can fly under the radar and do this. Because like something I seen yesterday, which was all over the place, was Donald Trump is going to get rid of taxes, right?
Right, the IRS, yes.
The IRS, right? Yeah. But people were like, really? And that was a talking point. But then he did all these other things under the radar that people are not talking about.
Yeah. The first day he got inaugurated, he was sharpieing it up with all his executive orders and all these different locations. And everybody was talking about the pardons. Now, let me be clear. The pardons were messed up. And I'm not trying to undermine them. Simultaneously, he rescinded 78 executive orders that Joe Biden did. Do you know what some of those executive orders are? Capping the cost on prescription drugs.
That's right.
Making the Affordable Care Act weaker. Making Medicaid weaker. Protecting workers' safety and health. But nobody was talking about that. So I was like, wait a minute.
That's what I was saying.
Wait a minute. I got it. But I can do two things at once. So, yeah, I do think that a lot of the things that he does, I mean, he is a master performer and executor of a show. And he is putting on a show right now. But I want to see the credits.
I was reading this clause. It was a clause in the, one of the DEI initiatives that he said he signed the executive order that not only stops the federal government's supplier diversity program and removes any requirements for federal contractors to be addressing DEI issues. It includes a clause that federal contractors must certify they are not running DEI programs to be eligible for government contracts. So any store that offers WIC is considered a federal contractor. Any company that supplies products for WIP, SNAP, etc. is a federal contractor. Is that true?
Again, I would want to do some research on that.
Okay.
But here's the thing. This is not their first time at the rodeo, right? And so they, as someone who worked at the White House, like I remember my first day and I was kind of like, what is happening? Like what is up from down? It is a massive institution. And that at that point, Obama had been in office for 5 years. So people knew how it was going. It does take a lot of time. So when they are writing these executive orders, they're writing it so that the tentacles go in all spaces, all nooks and crannies. So when they say, if you change a title, now tell on somebody and if you don't, then you can lose your job. It reminds me, honestly, of what they did in Texas with the abortion laws, where it was like a woman can't have an abortion, and if you help her have an abortion, that can be against the law. If you are the Uber driver, it's all to invoke fear. It's all to ask people to comply without needing to comply. That's another dangerous thing, is like if you don't tell me I have to do this because it's not the law, then I maybe shouldn't do it. Like, so to hear that, I wouldn't be surprised, because they want to get you tripped up and they just want you to be afraid. So then you're like, I'm not going to do it. It's too hard. I'm just going to step away.
And what are the guardrails, right? Because what can be done to keep these executive orders from becoming actual legislation?
Well, right now, the Republicans have the House and the Senate. But in the Senate, they do not have a filibuster breast, so they don't have 60 votes, which you need in almost everything for something to become law. I hate to say it, but like there is an election there are elections every year actually, but there is an election to take back the House in 2026. One way to make sure that those things don't become law is to make sure that there are people who will not vote for them. But you still are represented, whether you're a Republican or Democrat. You should still talk to your elected officials now. I think that a lot of times people just wait until the election. It's like, no, if you don't want that to become law, call your elected official now. Have a conversation with them. A lot of states are going to have to make decisions now about accepting federal funding. You know, people didn't vote for the infrastructure bill, but they sure are getting bridges built in their cities and towns from that infrastructure money. So call your mayor, call your state legislature, call your governor and say, we do want these federal funds that go to our school to make our roads improve better. I mean, that is how they don't become law, is to make sure that the elected officials don't vote for them.
Could Republicans get rid of the filibuster?
Yeah.
They will.
I mean,
They will. I mean,
I think they will. They say they won't.
They will. Everything I wanted Democrats to do in order to properly govern, Republicans are going to do.
Yes. I am waiting for the day where I say I told you I would. Because something will happen, and it might actually happen this year. Because right now, the Republicans went down to Florida yesterday to have this conversation with Trump about what is his legislative package going to look like, right? Is he going to split up? Is he going to do this one big thing? And it's hard to make laws, right, in this country. And Congress has the lowest approval rating because they don't make a lot of laws. And there's gridlock right now in D.C., and it has been for most of our lives, right? But the Republicans went down to have this conversation with Donald Trump, and whether or not they're going to roll out this big package that includes immigration, tax reform, the budget, or they're going to separate it. And I think you could see an opportunity where this is where he's like, get rid of it. I want it done.
He absolutely
and if you don't, I'm going to primary you.
Ashley, you know he is.
And
they are.
I'm not saying I'm where's the lie? It's like, I hear you.
What's your biggest fear? What should our biggest fear be? You named 19,000 things that we should be fearful of, but what is the biggest fear that you're saying this is going to be fucked up?
The reason why I'm not answering that question is because I don't think we can only look at one thing. I think we have to have the discipline to look at multitask, right? I think we cannot just be like, I'm only going to activate when this happens, because it might be too late.
So what
do we at least have like a top 3?
Top three.
Like some.
Yeah, I mean, I think if they get rid of the filibuster, we already in trouble.
Right.
That's good. So if that conversation really gets activated, we should be mindful of that. And for folks who don't know, the filibuster requires 60 votes to get something through the Senate. The House, you only need a majority. And right now there's only 53 Republican senators. And if there's a tie, the vice president, which is J.D. Vance now, would break the tie. So the filibuster is one. It's a backstop to make sure that, like, actually the will of the people is becoming law. I do think that if that birthright citizenship case is taken up and actually goes to the Supreme Court, and what's the third? The secret in the night we don't know.
Yeah.
Because like let's just be honest, they wrote it all down. Like my biggest fear is 2025, just boom, like all 900 pages come to reality. But they already told us that. It's like some stuff that I know we don't know.
We always talk about the problems, right? What are the solutions? What can people do to try to stop this or to try to curve it? Like, what can people do? Because a lot of people listening and be like, we know the problems.
Yeah.
We know we got to deal with the next 4 years. We see it happen in the last 8-9 days. But what can we do to stop it? What's the solution?
Yeah, I think being in community is the most important thing, right? Like sitting by yourself and spiraling and doom scrolling. One of the things the coolest thing that is happening right now, y'all following Hillman Talk on TikTok? Okay. So this is why I love Black women. Like, we the 92% supposed to be sitting down chilling, and we done created a whole HBCU online on TikTok in the last 7 days.
Yeah.
So a Black professor, she put a video out about African American Studies class for her 36 students. It is now a place where 20 plus PhDs, all Black folks teaching African American studies, teaching the art of resistance, teaching economic power. That's self-organizing, right? I think right now one of the things our people have been through many, many things. And one of the best things you can do right now is to educate yourself on how to sustain oppression.
You're saying Dr. Barlow.
Dr. Barlow, yes,
Barlow.
yes. And so they're educating us on forms of resistance, so you don't just sit and say like, well, how did the Civil Rights Movement survive? How did we get the Civil Rights Act? Like, that did not happen overnight. We tell that a lot of times, our country tells that during Black History Month, if they even tell that story. That was like a 15-year struggle just to get that one piece of legislation. So find yourself in community and educate yourself. I'm not going to take a stance on the boycotts right now, but I do think our economic collective buying power is very important. There's a lot of conversation about boycotting companies who are getting rid of DEI. I think boycotts are hard, but boycotts can be used strategically. And if we as a community really put some strategy behind it, it could be effective while we're still helping Black businesses and entrepreneurs thrive. And then I think we got to have some tough conversations, y'all.
Yeah, and the hardest part about it is like getting people motivated to do it and activating people to do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, cause like I'm 32, and a lot of people in my generation, they don't care. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? They care, but they don't care enough to, like, if it don't affect them directly, like right now, they not doing nothing. They just.
I do know,
and I know a whole bunch of people that's like, oh, Trump had money in the hood, so we good. And then you sitting here telling me SNAP is gone. All the stuff in the night that's happening, you don't even know half of them pregnant. That's hitting me up. Like my cousins and homegirls in Baltimore. Trump gave us that check. He ain't even get to you. You know what I mean? His name was on it, but it ain't even because of him you got it. And it's just, how do you properly educate, properly activate people to listen and really care about their lives? Why would you wait till something happened to you when you know you can do something, like you said, stand with a community to help prevent it in any type of way?
Yeah, I mean, I hear you. And
how do you activate people?
It's hard. If it was easy, like, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Honest to goodness. Like, if it was, and I think that people, honestly deserve to have a sense of like, it don't matter, right? I love Obama, but I know a lot of people whose lives haven't changed over the last 20 years under Democrat or Republican. So I get it. I think it's the responsibility. I don't actually think it's their responsibility to activate. I do think like elected officials need to activate them. But I always say, you know, start with, not me saying this is what you should care about. What do you actually care about? Like, if you can tell me any topic just about, and I can find a way to bring it back to like something you should care about.
You know what? I think a lot of times, like what Jess said, you don't realize it until it affects you, right?
That's right.
It's like you hear birthright citizenship, right? And let's say,
like, if he's Dominican.
I'm not Dominican. I'm fully black. I'm fully black. Stop it. But like, if you don't have a family member that's from out of this country, it doesn't affect you.
Right.
You know, same thing with the medicine and pills. If you don't need medicine right now, it's not affecting you that way. So you're not even thinking about those things. So it's hard to activate until something really affects you and you see it really hit close to home, you know?
And then
it does affect you.
But that point is too late.
Right, but it's 2 steps removed, right? Like half of there are workforces right now in California that are not showing up to harvest crops because they're afraid they're going to get deported. You think that's going to make eggs and groceries go down? No. When they lose a whole crop and now they're out of their business for the season and they got to hike it up next, that's not going to...
No, I've been hearing about it. I know Mexican truck drivers scared to drive because they think they're going to get pulled over.
Yeah, how you going to get your Amazon?
Yo,
he playing with you, Jess.
First of all,
he playing with you, Jess. He playing with you.
Is Mexican.
No, I did hear that.
He playing with you, Jess.
Don't put me in the middle of this.
He playing with me too, because you thought I was Dominican for real. So he looked at me like, I didn't know. I'm black.
But I did hear that.
It's okay if you are Dominican.
Now, I'm black, though. It's okay. Shout out to the Dominicans. Hola, but I'm black.
Actually, you said something when you was answering Jess that I totally agree with. It's not people's job to activate. It's elected officials' jobs to activate the people. And that's where I feel like Democrats have failed.
Yeah.
And you worked for the Obama-Biden administration and Biden-Harris administration.
But we won, so we activated them. But, you know, I think that, yes, it is the responsibility of elected officials. It is the responsibility to do that all the time. I'm not stupid. If somebody came to me like, if you hear I won the lottery and then you want to be my friend, catch me later, right? That's sometimes how people run political campaigns. So we are not stupid. We know when people are being sometimey. We know when people are playing in our face and coming to just get a vote. I'm not saying that's what the vice president did. I do not actually think that's what Vice President Harris did at all. I think she has probably been one of the most consistent folks who have showed up in our community. But like, you should be in communities now knocking on people's doors saying, what do you want from me?
I agree.
I am your public official. I am your public servant. What do you want from me? And then listen. Don't do it as like a fake. Listen to what them, and then go sit and think about how you can do something.
Gavin Newsom did that, and I thought that was dope. He went and spoke to the counties that flipped red for Trump. And I just thought that was smart. Like, just go listen to people. Because if Democrats had just been listening to people the last 4 years, none of this stuff would have surprised them. The way people felt about the border wouldn't have surprised them. The way people felt about the economy wouldn't have surprised them. None of this stuff would have surprised them.
I agree. And I think, like I always say, I was allowed to have hope and believe that the vice president can win. Like, I'm allowed to dream of something better than what we currently have. But we also have to live in reality. And people... You know, I'm one of those people where I do think racism and sexism played a huge role in this election cycle, particularly when she became the nominee. But I also think like some people really are struggling in this country and really are just looking for an alternative.
A lot of people.
And I used to be one of those people who never talked to Republicans. Like it was a part of my like, hi, I'm Ashley. Are you a Republican? Because I will walk away. And once Donald Trump went, I was like, I gotta change this. How do I call myself a political strategist and I don't even know what my opponent is doing? Like, if you play sports, you study tape, you watch them, you go watch them play, you scout them out. So I'm not gonna have an interaction with you. You are so much my enemy that I can't even have a conversation. And then I started having conversations. I was like, oh, we actually agree on some things. Let me see if I can actually talk to you about why you're voting. And I don't think we do that. I'm not just saying Republicans don't do it either. We are at a place in our lives where if you say something that I disagree with, we just walk away. We don't know how to have conversations. We don't know how to engage with somebody. We don't know how to talk to one another. We don't know how to, coexist. And that's a real problem.
I agree with that. And I actually believe Republicans did study Democrats. And they realized how cowardice Democrats are. And they realized that there's a lot. They realized they can just run over them. And they realized they wouldn't do anything about it. And I think that's Democrats have not learned how to treat Republicans the way Republicans, treat them. Because when you look at it just on the surface, sometimes it looks like Republicans, and I don't want to say good guy, bad guy, because it's just politics. But sometimes it looks like Republicans are the ones that are doing the right thing, and Democrats are the ones that are, fighting for the wrong things.
Give me an example.
Oh man, I'll give you an example. The example to me is the border issue, right?
Yeah.
Because I remember, back in January, just having conversations with who I believe became the new hypothetical swing voter, right? Which was just us, black people and brown people, and there was black people in Chicago, activists in Chicago, telling me about the issues that were going on at the border. They weren't anti-immigrant. They were more pro-resources. Like they felt like, these people are getting way more resources than us. Then you had people here in New York telling me about crime that was going on in their communities. These weren't white people. These were black people, Spanish people telling me about MS-13 and everybody running, rampant through their neighborhoods. And so when I would come on the air and just have those conversations, like that day when Mayor Adams shut the school down to let the migrants stay in for the day, and everybody was calling in mad as hell. So when I would get on the radio and have these conversations and just tell people what black and brown people were saying about the border, MSNBC ran a headline, Charlamagne the God is spreading MAGA messaging. I'm like, how the hell is this MAGA messaging? And it's coming from our community.
Yeah, I think everything has to be put in context. I agree. I think that there are things that happened this election cycle that we missed. And I'm never going to say, on the border issue, I don't really see how the Republicans are doing the right thing because they also,
they're just speaking what people are feeling. That's it.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Democrats are like, this is not a problem.
They are hitting the emotion that people are feeling.
That's right.
And fear and anger can be the best activator in people. And that was tapped into this election cycle in various different ways. I do think Republicans study people. I don't know if they study Republicans, but they studied the potential, or Democrats, but they studied their voters, and they were like, there's an emotional reaction. Once you get triggered, you know how hard once you get triggered to come back down, and they seized on it and they captivated. And one of my friends, he always says, Democrats are making a documentary and Republicans are making a blockbuster movie because we're like facts, and they're like, I can't put food on my table.
That's
and
it.
if I can't put food on my table, I don't care about your facts because it's not equating. And we missed the mark on it.
And sometimes just being seen is enough.
It's right.
We know that we're black.
Yeah,
we know
black.
that.
Just listen to me.
That's it. Just see me.
Just see me. Just sit down, have a conversation with me. That is so validating. But I want to be more than a conversation. I want you to hear. I want you to listen. Then I want you to take some action if you've been put in office to do something.
Now you work for the Harris campaign.
No. I worked for Biden-Harris.
Biden-Harris campaign.
Yeah. Not this go around though.
Do you think that Harris should run again?
I think that black woman should do whatever she want to do. And if she never wants to give one more day of public service to this country, she has already done enough. And I think she should be given the time to think about what she wants to do, and the time to dream about what she wants to do, and then the time to actually do it.
You talked about sexism and racism. Do you think this world and this country is ready for that? Because we've seen what happened here.
Well, if they were, we would already have a female president.
Facts.
I mean, they are. And the reason I say that is because we do have to factor things like the Electoral College in 2016. Sure. There's no Electoral College. Hillary Clinton is the president of the United States of America. And we also have to factor in Vice President Kamala Harris did get the second most votes of any Democratic nominee ever. 72 million votes. That's a big deal. And going up against a superstar like Donald Trump,
yes,
that's a big deal. I think that America's more than ready. I really do.
Well, you are more. I mean, I said what I said. If they was ready, we would maybe even had a Republican female president. We just haven't. I think that there are still so many biases, conscious and unconscious biases, that we don't even know exist in this country. And until we have some real tough conversations, I think we're going to be stuck.
Can Trump go for a third term, and how could he make that happen?
No, and he is
Don't say no so
he
fast,
is termed
Allison.
out. I'm gonna. Everything has context. Everything has context. The 22nd Amendment of the Constitution. There's currently a piece of legislation that has been introduced that would allow any president to run for a third term. Now, you said, how do we make sure these things don't become law? Well,
you know, that was like for New York with Bloomberg. Bloomberg was only supposed to run
right, yes,
2, and he ran like 4.
Yes.
Changed it up.
So you can,
and nobody said nothing.
You can amend the Constitution. It is extremely hard to amend the Constitution.
Not when you got that political white supremacist will.
Right. So when you talk about how do you make sure these things don't become law, that's what I'm talking. Like that should never even see the light of day. Now, truth be told, if Trump can run for a third term, so can Obama, so can Clinton, so can all the other presidents that are alive, that they will. But currently now in the Constitution, Trump could not run for a third term.
But the problem with that is they're not going to use that power when they get it. That's what pisses me off about Democrats. That's why I stay on Democrats' neck. They're not going to use the power even if they get it. They want to do everything. They want all these political norms when things have not been politically normal since 2016.
I agree. We are in a new normal, and we have to recalibrate to that new normal. Like, we are not operating. That's why when, my famous line is, when they go low, I match energy. Like, I'm not, that's my thing. Like, I don't stay high.
Are you mad Michelle hasn't said anything yet? Because the reason I say that is because Michelle kind of set the tone, right? When she said, when they go low, we go high. But then she decided to not even go at all. Not to the funeral, not to the inauguration.
I think she's sometimes actions speak louder than words.
That's
true.
true.
You feel like Obama should have sat out of the inauguration? Or at least not have been cracking jokes behind comments.
I was like, what is happening? I understand why he went.
I don't.
I know you don't.
To the inauguration?
Yeah. But I will say, I don't think I would have been there. How about that? I mean, but that's why I'll probably never run for office, because I match energy. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not how I rock. So I understand why Democrats felt like it was important to go. Here's what I will say. I think that because they went, you can't just then disappear. You have to provide context to people who you were ringing the 5-alarm fire to about why you went. Because I think, you have a massive platform, right? And so you do stay on Democrats. I think you also stay on Republicans. And I think, though, sometimes people, you know how social media works. People take a clip and flip it and put it out there.
Oh, we've seen it in a bunch of Trump commercials. Yeah.
Yeah, right?
Them too.
Right?
Yeah,
them too.
And so you always just want to make sure people can't use your words against you. People can't use your actions against you, particularly when you're the first, like a President Obama. So I think that you probably will hear more from him about why he felt it was important for him to show up and be the bigger person. But I think you also then have to still hold Trump accountable. Like, I would not be up there kikiing with Donald Trump, though. I don't know what they were saying.
Even if I was just sitting there chilling,
I don't know what they were saying, but I got questions, sir.
Yeah.
I think you can concede the election, but you shouldn't concede the Constitution.
I agree.
And when you call somebody, when you liken somebody to Hitler, when you call somebody a fascist, when you say they're a threat to democracy, you just simply got to act like it. Trump acted like it. When Trump said the election was stolen, I'm no peaceful transfer of power. I'm not going to no inauguration.
He still thinks it was stolen.
That's right. That's right. So it's just like, I don't know. It just makes, I always say Republicans are more sincere about their lies than Democrats are about their truth. When Republicans lie, it sounds like they're telling the truth. When Democrats are standing the truth or even trying to stand on integrity, it just looks like they're full of shit. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I mean, we are in a new normal, and I guess my question I always have is like, do we want to go back to what we used to have?
I think it's over.
It's over. Yeah, I think it is too. But I wonder if and when Donald Trump goes away, what that means. Because I do think a lot of this is wrapped around him. And to your point, like, will there ever be another Obama? Part of the challenge is, I think that, like, if you try and replicate Trump, you can't, because you're not Trump. If you try and replicate Obama, you can't, because you're not Obama. So who's gonna step up on both sides, right? If he can't run again, who's gonna be in the field? Is it J.D. Vance or somebody else? J.D. Vance is not gonna be able to hold it like Trump held it.
But if Trump changes all this legislation, if he does things like get rid of the filibuster, it's gonna come a time.
It's gonna come a time. Yeah.
Remember I said the Constitution is gonna be worth as much as this paper I'm holding in my hand. I see all of that happening. So when he does that, it don't matter who's at the top of the ticket.
I think it could happen. I think we have to figure out how to activate people so it doesn't happen. Mm-hmm. The only thing that will stop this is the will of the people. And I think people are misreading Donald Trump's election is that people don't want a democracy because he won. No, I don't think that's what people are saying. People are saying I had to prioritize issues, and democracy wasn't the first one on my list, right? So we cannot let them forget that. We cannot let this new normal just become. It still has to feel like we're in a different age. Everything still needs to feel disoriented, agitate. Like we can't just be like, oh yeah, like that's Donald Trump. No, we can never allow that to happen. That's why whenever I'm on television, I'm not just going to sit back and just let a lie be told to and just not check it. We can't. And all of us have to. I can't do it by myself. You can't do it by yourself. We have to keep telling the truth. We have to tell the whole story. We have to have some tough conversations. But we cannot allow the Constitution can have power as long as the people demand it have power.
You said something else that made me think too, because people can't do Trump, but people can't do Obama either.
Right.
And I think that's the problem with the Democratic Party. I look at Barack.
Who are you?
Exactly. I look at Barack Obama like Steph Curry, meaning that he changed the game.
I would have said LeBron, but okay.
But Steph changed the way people actually play.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And everybody thinks they can play like that.
Right.
But they cannot play like that.
Agree.
And I think you got a bunch of Democrats who have been trying to do Obama, and it does not work.
I agree. I think you have this in a lot of industries. People try and emulate something that they are not, and instead of finding out who they really are. Mm-hmm. And the thing about it is finding out who you really are is a lot of work. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's a lot of work because you got to look at the good, bad, and the ugly, right? And you got to do the work to heal and be able to say, like, what have I done wrong? How can I grow? You got to, like, evaluate all the traumas in your life so you can ascend to a higher level. That is not easy work. That is scary work for a lot of people. But I think if more people did it, we would have a lot more options out there for leaders in general. Political leaders in this world right now and people who are sitting on the sideline that probably have the potential to change the trajectory of this country, and they don't even know it yet.
Is it tough working in news media right now with Trump in office? Because I don't know, but I feel like there might be mandates coming down and people saying, hey, man, watch what you say here, watch what you say there, because you see ABC settled. CBS is talking about settling. This guy he's a sue-hungry guy. Is there any fear about that?
I've never, I've been at CNN now almost 4 years. I've never been told what to say, what not to say. I think we've only been in Donald Trump's America for 8 years, or 8 days, and it feels like 8 years.
It has been.
Yeah.
It's really been Trump's America for 8 years.
Yeah, and it's not about people telling you what to say. It is about the fear of being sued, the fear of the hate mail, the fear of the attacks. Like, the internet is, like, awful. People are mean, Yeah. But, again, if you don't know who you are, then you listen to it and it lets you rock you. No. So, yeah, I think that, I actually have, the beginning of the year, did a lot of prayer and meditation about, like, how can you show up and stand on truth and not become afraid, not become a shrinking violet. Like, the seat I have, I hold with great honor and privilege. I don't own the seat, but I'm sitting in it right now, and I feel like I have a responsibility to people to speak the truth. And so the moment, I used to say this when I worked at the White House, the moment I walk through those doors and I don't feel like it's an honor and privilege to serve this country, I need to stop coming through those doors. And the day I go to CNN or sit here or anything and I can't tell the truth, I need to stop going because I need to pass the torch to somebody who can, because I can't. It doesn't mean I failed. It doesn't mean it's not my time anymore.
Time is up.
Wow. What stories do you want to tell with Watering Hole Media that you're the CEO of?
Oh, yeah, I actually started in 2009 during Obama because I saw this wave of social media. I want to tell the story. I want to give people and democratize microphones. There are a lot of creators out there who do amazing things. I restarted Watering Hole after the infamous Montgomery uprising with the folding chair, right? And I'll tell this story. In 24 hours, I saw the trajectory of that story change. In the morning, I saw news media outlets starting to cover it with a tint of vigilantism and whatnot. And I saw Black Twitter activate, the creators activate, and we turned a moment that could have been very dangerous for Black people and a really sad outcome. We brought joy to it. We brought a strong political analysis to it. And by the end of that night, the story was being told. So I'm saying, how do I find those talented people and give them a platform, give them money to do that? That I think is how we make sure some things like that don't become laws, because we have good messengers, we have good storytellers. I want to go at politics not through like, well, your SNAP benefits and it's like, no, let's talk about how it really is impacting you and get you to be more engaged. So I think there's a lot of opportunity. I think Republicans did it really, really well. Everyone's like, we need our own Joe Rogan. No, we don't.
No, we don't.
We actually don't. We need to empower people who know how to connect with real people and tell real stories and empower them just to do it. That's what we're doing there.
Absolutely.
And Joe Rogan exists. Just go on Joe Rogan.
Right.
It's not like Joe Rogan doesn't want people from the left.
Don't try and copy. Don't be a copycat. Be an original. Like, just find out who you are, and we got you.
Please no.
I know.
We got the Black Mothership. That's what we call the Breakfast Club, the Black Mothership. Come to the Black Mothership. Thank you for coming, Ashley.
Yes,
Thank you for having me.
Allison, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you.
You on tonight?
Can check her on CNN. What time?
I am 10 p.m.
On Abby
She breathes
Phillips.
so hard every time she goes.
You know who's on tonight? You know who's on the panel?
Who's on tonight?
Can't tell you.
Okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Can't discuss.
But it's on air till tomorrow.
Tonight?
Yeah.
This airs tomorrow.
This airs tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
He still ain't
He
gonna.
said, I'm not telling you. So I don't trust y'all niggas.
I ain't getting caught up.
I ain't trust y'all niggas. I need my
I don't know. It'll be some Republican, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And me.
All right.
Standing 10 toes down.
All right. Well, there you have it. It's The Breakfast Club. It's Ashley Allison.
Wake that ass up.
In the morning.
The Breakfast Club.